Music hits hard, man. Hits real hard, Sid.
Yeah, it's hitting. Hello, everyone. This is an impromptu episode of The Real Deal while we're on our rebrand. And, a lot going on. Maybe not the best time to go on rebrand, Jarod, huh?
I mean, no, because the world is collapsing. Obviously, if you are in Madrid, I mean, it's not real. Well, the actual real world, yes, is collapsing. That is a fact. Real Madrid, everything's a crisis over there. But yeah, lots going on, Sid. Lots for us to dive into. The streets have been waiting for us to get back. They've been hitting us on Twitter and saying, "Where are you guys at?" Well, here we are. We're back.
Well, they also want to hear us defend our man Xabi Alonso, or they want to hang us. They want to hang us with him. Because we've been all in on defending the coach from day one, and that was, I think, Gerard, even considering everything that can happen, man, I think up till Bilbao, because something shifted yesterday, which we'll get into, maybe the 0 or 1 percentile outcome of like a few weeks in a row of everything going wrong, coach under scrutiny, dressing room going wrong. This was like the scariest timeline after like a very good start to the season up till Atletico, and then everything went to shit.
Yeah, look, we talked about this in the summer when Madrid signed Xabi Alonso and we knew he was coming here. We said growth will not be linear. You ain't going to turn on your TV or go to the Bernabeu. All of a sudden, we're looking like, peak elite team in Europe, three-peat. Like it's just not going to work that way, man. Like it's going to be ups and downs. It might even get ugly at times. And yeah, it got ugly. But I think, Sid, there's so many components to this and areas where and why we're seeing what we're seeing. Anybody who knows me knows I love the television show The Wire. One of my favorite characters on that show is Lester Freeman. And a quote Lester Freeman brings up said on that show many times was, it's about the money, it's about the drugs. It's like, and all the pieces matter, right? And that's it. All of it matters. It's everything, right? It's not one thing. It is everything, right? And when one thing is broken, it has cascade and downstream effects, right? Like we know Trent's going to be out for 2 months. It's not just that Trent's out for 2 months. It's all the cascading effects, which I tweeted about earlier, that has a result of Trent being out 2 months, right? An already thin position is even thinner. A weaker player has to get put there. Xabi's tactical ideas that seemingly worked because of what Trent's unlocked can't work now because you don't have a like-for-like replication. Like there is just, and not to mention Trent's own adaptation and understanding of his teammates now gets stunted yet again for 2 months because he won't be on the pitch, right? It's everything, guys. It's every little thing. And when you are in the fishbowl and the cauldron that is Real Madrid and you have to win every single title and every trophy, yeah, you go on a 3 or 4 match winless streak, it's going to sound like disaster, right? But we have so many areas where they need to sort of get themselves back on track.
Yeah. And I'm going to split our season into 3 phases here because it's super interesting. I'd say phase 1 is up till Atletico Madrid. Started the season, no Jude Bellingham. We're building around Arda and Mbappe. Vinny's getting subbed off, but he's still playing well. Phase 2, September 28th till this weekend, I would say, when that Atletico game started. We're looking kind of rocky. We were good against Juventus in October, but that Clásico, we were dangerously close to drawing that game. After a dominant first half, we pretty much dropped the ball in the second half. And then I know we beat Valencia, but from there, it was a disaster, right? Every single game.
And you saw it in the underlying metrics, right? When before that game, we had limited the amount of shots being taken against us, right? We were like tops of La Liga with that, and in the Champions League, really good at just sort of limiting the opponent's ability to get shots on us because we were pressing higher, winning the ball back higher, feeling really dominating possession. That struggled for the last 7 or 8 matches, and all of a sudden, the shots against increased tenfold, basically, right? Like. And so now in a sport that's low margin, well, you're drawing games now or losing against good teams like Liverpool. Well, Liverpool's not good, but elite European sides like Liverpool, right? Because now we're not pressing with intensity for whatever reason. And now we can't get the ball back. And it's a low margin sport. Shit. We give up a great goal to McAllister. We're screwed, right? Like this is kind of how it happens, right? You draw against Rayo, you draw against Elche, right? Like you draw against Girona. Like it's just these are the results that happen. Yeah, sprinkle in, you get Kaimar, you get Olympiacos, but Olympiacos is a terrible result because terrible performance. We won and got the 3 points, but my God, we look like dog shit, right? Like, and again, if not for Thibaut, we might lose that game.
Yeah, I'd say we looked pretty bad.
Lunin, excuse me.
Yeah, and we looked pretty bad most games out of nowhere, starting with Liverpool up till like I wouldn't say it's out of nowhere, and that the Clasico second half is, I guess, where it started.
Mm-hmm.
You kind of see that we don't have like you would just think we'd ride the momentum of the first half into a more comfortable second half, and we've never done this historically. Like we had some Clásicos under Zidane, Carlo against the weaker Barcelonas, where we would like I think there was a Ronald Koeman in Clásico, which we won 2-1 in the same way. They hit the post in the 90th minute when we were up 2-1. So you can write that off, but Liverpool was shocking. There's first of all, no question, Liverpool played their game of the century, not even of the season.
But Sid, and this is the thing I've talked about before. When you sign up to play for Real Madrid, that is your reality. Every team that we play, we are the biggest game on their schedule, which means you're going to get everyone's best shot. That's just fact. And
yes.
So it doesn't matter how poor the team was before they play us. They will play their best version when they see us. And so that means you have to be ready for that. And if that is something you can't handle, whether you be a manager, a player, or whatever, well, then this ain't the place for you, right? And you gotta go somewhere else because this is the reality of playing for this club.
Yes. With that being said, the Liverpool game, tactically as well, at halftime, it's funny because the expected goals are actually almost even at halftime. I'm going back. In the second half, they put 2 expected goals on us. We create nothing. Once they start creating chances, we don't get out of our half. And it's basically identical to the Atletico Madrid second half where nothing good is happening. And I'd say, like, you can defend it once from Xabi, you can defend it twice. But I think after this time, even if you're someone who backs the coach, you're just sitting up like, okay, like you got to change something. You can't just let the team fall apart. And I thought that was a game of no adjustments. That was kind of shocking. Rayo, if I'm not wrong, that was also a game of little to no substitutions until very late in the game.
Pretty sure that's right. Double check that.
Yeah, because I believe most of these games outside one, Gonzalo has hardly been on the pitch while we've been struggling to create. And that's been kind of inexplicable.
Look, there's no question that Xabi Alonso has made some bad, baffling decisions. We can go back as recently as maybe it was Girona,
late subs.
Right? So, okay, you put Gonzalo in. Great. No, I mean, too late for me, but fine. He's on. But then you take off the person who could service on the ball and Trent. It's like, well, what's the point of having him here now? No one can service him. So who cares if he's on the pitch now, right? Seemingly, and again, I don't ever want to get on here and tell anybody that I know more about football than Xabi Alonso because that is factually untrue, right? Like that man has lots of football knowledge, but something is happening somewhere between what he's seeing, what is happening, and then what he decides to do, whether that be pressure from inside the club, whether that be fear. There could be a million reasons why, but something is happening that's causing him to do radical different things. And I'm just not sure what that is. It was good to see against, Jesus Christ, would we just play on Wednesday? Oh, my mind's blanking already. Bilbao against Athletic Club. That he had a clear idea about what he wanted to do. And the team clearly looked, they wanted to have a result and responded, right? And it was like, oh, look, I think something worked. And I think he found possibly a midfield that he wants to lock in on. Now, that midfield's going to have some challenges now that Trent is no longer available for the next 2 months, right? Because your excellent width player out on the right side, because in that game against Bilbao, Trent was providing all the width on the right-hand side, right? Like he was instrumental in that second goal, right? When Jude worked to get the ball over to him, right? And like he was the man over there on that side. Fede was essentially, if you look at where he's touching the ball most, it's really deep, right? Like defending, and helping Trent defend. So, okay, we don't have a generational crosser now. Now what, right? Like, how are we going to continue to play and unlock our Monstars, whom I love, as everybody knows, right? And I think This is Xabi Alonso's dilemma and challenge, Sid. Not only does he have to come up with the right tactical ideas and blueprint and framework, he has to manage all the other things that come with Real Madrid. Florentino, the media, player entourages, right? Things that at Leverkusen were not an issue, right? Because he kind of was the man there. If any player really said anything, what are you going to do, right? Like, that's not how it works here, right? Like, and now you could argue it should work that way here, but it is what it is, right? This is the current situation he's in. And I think, Sid, for him, managing all those things at once has proven to be very difficult for him.
Yeah, and it has. And I think one thing that really tipped the needle was when Vinny was just mad in the Clasico. That was when that happened. I'm like, okay, great win, great game, but I'm just like, damn, like that just gave me like Ronaldo unhappy after the Champions League final vibes. It's like, dude, we're winning and like we're trying to move forward. What are you doing? Like,
yeah, it is. This is, the challenge, and people who've listened to us in our channel, and thank you guys for being here. We're so excited to be back. Looking forward to doing more and sharing more with you guys. For fans, Sid, they want things. I'm going to quote The Wire again, Marlo. You want it to be one way, right? But it's not. It's the other way, right? Like, you wanted this idea where coach says, players do, and that's it, and everybody goes home. And guys, that's not how the world of professional sports works. I'm sorry. Like, I will agree with you that it should be that way, but it doesn't. You have competing interests all over the club and all over the pitch. And these things cause challenges when you have a new man coming in who is trying to figure out, here's what I want to do. To your point, Sid, about the Barcelona game. Okay, he throws a fit after getting subbed off. We all said on this podcast after, like, we understand the emotion because he was playing well. But, dude, we're winning. Like, you're making this about yourself and not about the club. That is bad business, my friend. Now, a coach that has the proper authority and power would punish Vinicius for that showing him up like that on the field. Xabi, for whatever reason, didn't do that. Well, that sends a message, right, to other players on the team. Interesting. He just showed the coach up and did this whole thing while we were winning, which is something we all want to do. Made it about himself. Cool. And nothing happened to him. All right. I see how it's going to be here.
Yeah, I think that was an issue, and that was a big issue. And honestly, just looking at the reporting too, Vinicius wants a contract that is frankly larger than what his aggregate performance would merit. By aggregate, I mean, like, if you want the biggest contract in the world, you should probably be playing every game like all year for 5 years in a row. Like, by the time you ask for that contract, you've never been injured. Vinny's best season came when he missed 20 games or so. So, like, it's a little easier to play well if you only have to play 35 good 90s. And like the other seasons, he has been the number one option on a Champions League winning team, 2024. And he was the number 2 option in 2022. So yeah, he can be a Champions League leading attacker. And there's no question his style, you can't measure some of it in the numbers. He's just relentless. He can kind of do it all. And he might have a quiet game where he still decides it in a clutch way. I acknowledge all that. But I definitely think like at the club, I think he knows that like Real Madrid rarely ends up in a situation where an asset like that has such little time on their contract. And then there's the Ballon d'Or situation, which ticked him off. And, I'm realizing this goes back to then, like the way Jude was overshadowed, even like within our own club, the campaign. I'm just like, hey, Vinny, like, you're not the only good player on the team. Like, yes, you were the number 1 option. Yes, we hung out into you for dear life and you dribbled past Kimmich 30 times till they broke. Like, I get it. But
yeah.
Like, he is the number 1 option. I don't want to dispute that. Who won, which Mbappe never has done. And I get where the ego comes in, because it's like to the player, you're like, screw your analytics, bro. Go win a ring, then talk. Like, I get it. That's what I would say too.
Yeah.
But, I do think though part of it is the anger of the Ballon d'Or. He's kind of letting it out now of like things not going well. Instead of like trying to fit in, he's just going a little too rogue and just trying to win it. And I will say his passing has improved a lot this season, but around the time of some of these tantrums, like there are a lot of plays where he just won't play the cutback, even though he's the main guy who the danger goes through.
Mm-hmm.
Like his expected goals assisted is a little bit lower
Yeah.
than prime Messi, than the prime
Oh yeah.
Neymar.
Of course.
But those guys, their passing was key to make those offenses work with other players who also like doing things. So you can pass it to them and you're not the one shooting. But here, Vinny's like a B plus like passer. He's like maybe a great creator in terms of
Right.
danger.
Right.
But like the actual passing from
Mm-hmm.
that spot is
Yeah.
okay. But like Mbappe is also not going to do that. And Jude, let's be honest, has become more of a scoring type since he came here. And well, I just mean you have all these locker room issues, but I just wonder how much of it, Jarod, was also that tactically there's a big issue. I don't know when you want to jump in, but with
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Arda, because I feel like that kind of ties in because we don't know who to blame. This last month we're searching: is it Jude? Is it Mbappe's camp? Is it Vinny's?
Well,
What
this
if it was
is
just Arda and the tactics and X's
well.
and O's?
Well, this is the thing, right? Again, for a problem this complex, our natural inclination is to try to find one thing. Okay, this is the problem, and this is the reason why. But again, I maintain it's multiple things. Everything you said about Vinny was right and dead on. But Sid, Champions Leagues and La Ligas, you can be the top scorer and be the number one option. This is my argument I have in NBA circles all the time. When fans or even media members compare players, they pull out things like championships. And I'm like, bro, championships are team awards. You do not win championships by yourself. No one in the history of any sport has won 1-on-11 or 1-on-5. It doesn't work that way. It's a team. Yes, you can have an outside level of importance because of what you do, but you can't do literally everything, right? There are other people who are necessary. Yes, Vinny, you scored a goal in the Champions League final, the game-winning goal, all that. This team does not win the Champions League in 24 without Jude Bellingham on it. It just doesn't. We know that. It doesn't. It doesn't win without Cruz. It doesn't win without Modric, right? Everybody has a role and a part to play in how we do this together and the collective. And I think that sort of outsizing of ego creates problems where it's like, okay, but I should be the number one focus. And it's like, look, my guy, like you should be a priority focus, but you should not be more important than the squad, right? Like, and that's ultimately where it's happening. And then you mentioned, camps and whatever. See, this is the thing I always say, Sid. Like, you would think that everybody has the same interest, but everyone doesn't. The people in Vinny's camp, their number one concern is self-preservation, keeping my job. How do I keep my job, Sid, in Vinny's camp? By him signing a mega huge contract extension so I can keep getting paid. That's not happening. So what am I going to do? Talk to the media and leak about how Vinny hates this? Because you would think, but if the team wins, no. That guy ain't worried about that, or girl or whoever. They're worried about how am I collecting my $100,000 a year? Well, we got to get more money, meaning he's got to get a bigger contract. We have to make sure that happens. We got to put pressure on people, right? You can see how that is contrary to what the team is trying to do, which is build something, be cohesive, and win, right? Those two things are now incompatible, right?
Yeah,
so now we have a problem.
And he has leverage, and I get it. But with that being said, I don't agree with the idea that Alonso is too controlling. And I guess I think what his job is to get us to grow up a little bit as a team. Like, hey, you don't always win titles with vet players who already three-peated the last decade, still there to hold your hand. That's not always going to happen. Nobody even.
Also, Sid, really quick, anyone who came and tried to impose structure after Carlo would seem imposing because Carlo was just like, do what the fuck ever you want. Yeah. Right? So, I mean, what are we talking about? Too controlling. What does that mean?
Yeah, and I think that's where we have a bit of result bias towards 2022, 24, as we've discussed all the time. A lot of people want to come and say, hey, this Real Madrid needs a free approach. You need to be able to look how we won those few years. But we fundamentally, not all Champions Leagues are made equal. And we definitely have two of the biggest bullshit Champions Leagues of the last 20 years. We have some of the most iconic ones. We have the three-peat. Mm-hmm. We have 2017, which is right there with the top of any of them. But then we have 2024, the final. Why do you need Courtois to go crazy against Borussia Dortmund in the final? I was in Mumbai and I'm like, no way. Like y'all made me come out here and we're going to lose this final because it could have happened, Jarod. Like people, you can pretend it couldn't have happened. That ball bounces a little different. We lose that final. Like or at least we're down and we're trying to remontada them. We probably equalize, but we
Yeah.
weren't far. And then
Shit,
2022.
we should have lost to Bayern.
Yeah, we could have. I will say this. It's funny because like Bayern is the one tie we actually cook in XG over those 2 Champions Leagues of all of them. Like we actually had them for the half and they went up. That's why they almost Real Madrid at us when Davies scored because they had not created. But yeah, in general, like City created 1.5 expected goals. Rudiger was holding on for dear life. He got us over the line, but they were praying. Like we were like every time the ball bounced off the goalie or the post, I would just laugh. I'm like, just please, just hold on. Take your time kicking it up because it's
shout out to Miriam who said this in the chat, and I said this a number of times. Lunin was elite that season in 24. He was like peak Courtois that season. He really was. He saved our ass so many times. And then Courtois again in the final was out of control. And of course, let's not forget the Liverpool final where he literally had like 15 arms and stopped everything.
And I think what people need to understand is there are trade-offs you plan for as a coach and there are trade-offs you don't plan for and you might get away with. That firmly was the latter. Like he got away with all of it. If we gave up like even just 30-40% less chances, I could say it, but the amount of quality chances we gave up in both those runs were ridiculous. 2012 Chelsea were super lucky too, but that's not who you're going to look at and build a team after.
Right.
Like you don't want to be like 2012 Chelsea. You want to keep elements of the comeback mentality.
Mm-hmm, sure.
But I think people are conflating that with Alonso being too controlling. Like, I don't think they realize he wants to keep the good and take out the bad. And I think the controlling narrative, Jarod, was like, honestly, like it made no sense to me because this guy played with Ronaldo and Bale. Like he won a Champions League with us. Does he? He's not going and handing Vinny a USB and saying this is how you got to play. Like that's what Benitez did. He gave Ronaldo a USB, teaching him how to take free kicks.
Right. Which of course that went over real well, as we know. Again, I agree with you, Sid. That is not what Xabi Alonso is doing. But you said it exactly right, which is if we give up 30 or 40% less chances, right, those Champions League runs are probably a lot easier, right? You play those Champions we just mentioned back, 2022 and 2024 again, 50 times in a simulator. How many times do we win them?
No, if you play, I've thought about this. I think, honestly, like I'll go 100 just for percentage purposes. Yeah. Maybe I think we're at 10. We're definitely not far above the teens. Like we're not that far. We're definitely not in 20%. We don't even win those 20 out of 100 times. 22 was the most improbable when it happened. Just ask anyone who's provided data to any data company in Europe. Ted Knudsen of StatsBomb said that was number 1 most improbable sporting thing of my life.
Yeah, this is the point, right? And so if we can maintain this high level of elite talent, but also just be like, hey guys, how about we just give up scoring chances a bit less in a low margin sport? And that's what was happening at the beginning of the season, the Atletico Madrid game notwithstanding, right? Where, wow, we're actually conceding much less chances because we are controlling the ball. Now, Vinny wasn't scoring. He was getting subbed off because of the pressing nature. And I think that was a big part of it, right? It's like, because Vinny is a player who, again, players like routine and certainty. I don't have a contract extension beyond 2027. I have to score goals for me to get paid the way I want to play. If he takes me off at the 60th minute because I had to be running my asshole around defending, I'm not going to have a chance to score, meaning I'm not going to get paid, right? This is what is going through his mind, okay? So yes, he's flipping out. And what did I say about his entourage? They're saying the same thing. Shit, Vinny's not scoring. We're not getting the contract. I'm not going to get paid now. Let's go leak to the media that Vinny's unhappy. This is what's going on. And it's like, again, and this is not to absolve Xabi Alonso from all this. Anytime you come into a new scenario and you want to implement changes, Sid, it is my belief that, and I'm not saying I know how it went because I don't know. You have to do these things slowly, and you have to do them in a way that, for lack of a better word, you're playing a Jedi mind trick on the players, where you make it think it's their idea, right? And this is what's going to be good for you and make you the best version of yourself, right? Like, that's how you have to play it. I'm not saying he didn't do that, but I'm saying that's how you get buy-in, right? That's how you get these guys to be like, yeah, I'm with you. This is how we do it.
Yeah, and I think all that put together in that moment, my guess was that Florentino would back Alonso with all this going down. And I just think inside the club, like, you don't sign these players if you don't have some way to measure things like in football, including like goal probability and how affect like the chances of winning. And I think they know our last couple teams were just weaker than the late 2010 side. So as long as the internal evaluation on the club, like a lot of people say, I guess that's the flip. A lot of people are saying, hey, like Real Madrid needs someone who understands football to defend Alonso. And I was confused why they let the media circus go for so long. But at the same time, I'm like, if you are backing him and you're having these convos and you kind of want to see how he reacts to the pressure, you let it all come out slowly. Because what I'm gathering is some of these meetings, they're officially being reported like a few days later. But before each game, they've been meeting like on flights. And you know, my prediction was they would back him, and it seems like they have. And perhaps they're just like not making it obvious publicly because they just want to see how he handles the situation. Because end of the day, you hire a coach to lead your organization in some ways too. You're not hiring him to hide behind him, but he's also there to lead you as much as you're there to help him. Like he's the great man of your org. Like he's the guy. He's your general, right?
Yeah, and this is the hardest job in all of world football. Everyone knows this. It just is. That's the reality of being the head man at this club. And so he's not dumb. First of all, he played here, so he knows this, right? None of this is a surprise. But I think to your point, Sid, there is no greater teacher than experience, right? Like, and it's also the hardest teacher, right? Because experience gives you the test first and the lesson after, right? That's just how it works, right? Okay, here's your test. Good luck. Oh, I fucked up and failed. Yeah. Huh? That's how it works. Now you know, right? Like that's just how this shit goes. So it's going to be ups and downs. I do think that he's understanding some things. I think the players are understanding some things. Look, he's dealing with injuries, which, look, it's hard for anybody to deal with. I do think, though, Sid, from a individual Xabi standpoint, I think while he was trying to figure out who he had and what they could do, that trying out a bunch of different things and not getting cohesion with the lineups, that caused some problems, right? But the thing is, guys, the season, again, experience being the greatest teacher, and you get the test first and the lesson after. You have to use the season as the lab because there's no other place to use it. There's no practice. You have to use a game situation to be like, I wonder if this is going to work or not, right? And so that's what he's doing. He is being the great experimenter and lab testing, right? Anybody who knows anything about science and hypotheses and whatever, like, it isn't just all of a sudden we wake up one day and we have a cure for polio. That's not how it works, man. You try 9 billion things that don't fucking work. And then it's shit.
That's why the show's on hiatus now. I'm experimenting too. Like, and I can't be on the show all the time. It takes a lot of energy and time, and it's exhausting, and it's not always fruitful. That's the thing. It's not always. But I would say I would disagree. It is fruitful in that you have to prove some things work or don't work to the eye. You can't just simulate everything in your head. You don't know everything. Like, you have to see it. But
and I think what you said, Arda Guler, right? And I think that's what Xabi learned in his experimentation, right? Listen, I want to be very clear. And I think I speak for you on this as well. You love Arda too, as do I. But I think what is obvious, particularly against physically imposing midfields, we cannot have him as the core build-up playmaker against physically imposing midfielders. Because we've seen it numerous times. Like, he loses duels, right? He can't win the ball back, right? He can't turn under pressure when bigger, stronger guys push up on him, right? And that's a problem. So I think what Xabi realizes is I have to have my monsters, Fede, Camavinga, Jude, Tchouaméni, right? These guys on the pitch at the same time. Now, how does that look? Well, it looked pretty good against Girona. Against Athletic Bilbao. I'm not saying Bilbao is fucking any great shakes. However, I think we saw some things like, Tchouaméni and Camavinga in that double pivot. That kind of works. Jude being that playmaker pushing forward. I think that works, right? Like, now, yes, you have Trent out wide, who's maybe the best crosser of this generation, right? It's elite at switching play and all that. We don't have Trent for 2 months. We got to work something else out. But to me, Sid, those four, especially in big matches against dominating physical midfielders, I think we have to have those four on the pitch.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's interesting to see how he navigates this going forward because, like, the math of the team is we have two guys who are really great passers, which is Trent and Arda. And the first 10 games of the season going into Atletico Madrid, Arda had done well, and even that game, like, yes, he messed up for the goal where with the
Mhm.
high boot, but
Mhm.
like it was 2-2 thanks to him.
Mhm. Yep.
And so I get why. I think when you conduct the like process analysis and or whatever analysis you conduct, you are actually biased towards the results with Arda. It's weird because the expected assisted goals are really high. You see some of the weaknesses on film, you're like, okay, but he makes up for it with that assist, right? Which is what you think. Now, then the other interesting thing is Jude comes into the lineup and we look worse with Jude, Arda, Vinny, and Mbappe together. And um, we that's a consistent theme to the point where, you know, even Olympiacos we score for without Jude in the lineup. And we're all just wondering, is this a Jude thing? Because they
But you
all
also give up, then you give up 3 on the other end, right?
yes,
Like,
yes. And yeah, so that brings us to I think, and then Girona as well. We draw, and I think what Xabi saw through those games is well, first he's trying to have us play slow. So I think he really likes the idea of like just pass it side to side, and then at some point Arda can just play a through ball. Now that is I feel like in some ways that's kind of his Leverkusen strategy with Wirtz, kind of have Wirtz go side to side before he plays the killer pass. And listen, I understand why he wanted to do it, but besides Arda, which is a big thing we noticed last game, the big confusion for me in November was why specifically against Rayo did you wait to make any sort of substitutions of Gonzalo? I believe he made the sub then the next game against Elche, and we actually created a bunch of chances near the end. And then we go to Girona where that sub isn't made again in a timely manner. So why are you afraid to go to Gonzalo? I think it's because he wants to play slow, side to side. If you start playing the ball in the air, it's going to start bouncing back to your goal faster.
mhm, mhm.
That's just the rule in soccer. There's no shot clock. You decide the shot clock, but the rule of thumb is like whatever shot clock you set, the other team's going to get that back. I feel like it just ball goes back
Yeah.
and forth.
And we know this about Xabi. He's afraid to relinquish control, right? Like he does not want to
well,
lose the ball.
well, see now this is where I just think everyone's like obsessed with him, but Zidane was like that too. Like, man, the Wolfsburg second leg, when he took over, we were up 2-0 early in the game. And then Marcelo himself, like go watch Marcelo that game. Very defensive sequences of on the ball. Like he's just purposely playing slow so he just knows that we're good defensively, that we're escaping. And Zidane started that defensive possession. And I just think, honestly, for me, that is the hallmark of any really great team in the modern game. Like, you should be able to attack and defend with possession. But here's the thing that brings us to the thing, which is the guy we're relying on to do that, like Arda, he's actually not helping us control the game against ball pressure. So, like, he's like, if you actually press him, he's really bad. He's good in certain angles in certain situations. And I think that's what you had to give him time to grow through and find
Yes.
out his ceiling. You have to
Yeah.
find his ceiling. And
Right.
like, I don't blame Xabi for discovering his ceiling. But with that being said, going into yesterday, I actually think that was the end of the Arda era. I hate to say it. Like, if you remember the Isco era under Carlo, the first Isco era under Carlo, 13-14, it was short-lived. Once Di Maria came in, it was over because
Yeah.
you can't have Isco scoring all the goals if it means the team doesn't work well together.
And I think that's what we're talking about, right? It's Xabi is trying to figure out with what I have and what they've given me, how do I get these puzzle pieces to fit so that we produce the best results on the pitch? And the thing that everybody realizes is there's only 10 outfield positions available. Everyone can't play 90 minutes on the roster. It just can't work that way. And so we had a long run of Arda playing some full 90s, but like, 75, 75 minutes, right? Most of the season starting, all that. And I think to your point, said Xabi sees and saw, okay, this is what works when he's on the pitch. Now he is seeing, when Arda's not on the pitch and I have Camavinga and Jude, this is what's working. Now, the sample size for all those guys together isn't as long as it was with Arda, right? So I think we're going to see a little bit more of that to see what works out and what works well, and he's going to try to take out. So maybe it will be that Arda becomes a 60th minute super sub, depending on game state or what have you, right? And that's the reality of this team. Because to your point, Sid, he might be able to grow into that controller one day. But I think we all know he's not there yet. And the likelihood it's not going to happen this season. So this is where we're at. And so I think, but Arda is getting First of all, he's already played far more minutes this season than he played probably all under Carlo in his entire time, right? So, I mean, so it isn't like he's going to start complaining now, what the hell, right? Like, bro, you've gotten a lot of playing time and but you're still growing and developing. And I think that's the other thing too, Sid. We have a young team. I know that the main guys, Mbappe aside, Bellingham, Tchouaméni, Camavinga, Vinny, all them have won Champions League titles. So I think in many people's minds, that makes them more veteran and older than they actually are. But in reality, they're not, right? And so, as you mention all the time, Kroos and Modric, right, and Carvajal and Nacho and a lot of these like veteran guys masked and hid a lot of what was going on, right, with those guys because those were the veterans. Well, they're gone now. So all of the warts of these guys are now being exposed because they're not being hidden anymore. That's okay because the players have warts, but now they have to develop into who they're going to be, whatever that looks like. And sometimes it's going to look okay. Other times it's going to look like shit.
And honestly, this team with Trent and Arda, and with Arda looking like an Ozil, this team is more like the early 2010s Real Madrid teams that didn't have a Modric. There is no Modric on this team. Like, nobody close.
There's also no Modric and Kroos replacement in the world. Okay, Zubamendi, okay, he's one player. So you're saying if we can't get Zubamendi, we get nobody.
No, there will always be we will get that archetype. My point is, like, the way we win will look different till we get them. And,
correct.
And people are asking why Arda is the one who gets the blame in the end. Because, we had moments where we're like, is Jude the problem with Mbappe? Is Vinny the problem with I want to throw this out here because now they're saying we're scapegoating Arda.
Nobody is scapegoating Arda. First of all, where did I scapegoat Arda? In nowhere did I say Arda's the problem.
It's not us, but in general, I'm just saying yesterday that was the feeling. Like that when he got benched, you saw how good the team looked with the 4 young guys with Trent.
Right, but to me, that's not an Arda thing. It's not because Arda sucks. That's not what I think. I just think that those 4 midfielders with Trent present a different product that works in specific situations. And I think we have to wait and see. Does it work in every situation? I don't know. We're going to find out.
Well, I would say I think it does because I think the core issue I'm realizing was not that Jude was stepping on Mbappe's toes, that Vinny and Mbappe were not defending perfectly. Even if they did, the problem was if Vinny and Mbappe covered well, Arda was still on the pitch sometimes losing his guy. And you can't. And if Arda's losing his guy, that's fine. But then the games were playing well. He's turning and giving the ball away at the halfway line. And it's like, you either need to dominate ball pressure defensively or be able to manipulate ball pressure offensively. That's how we won in 22 and 4. We could not pressure the ball for shit in 22 and 24. But when other teams tried, even if they stopped us, it took so much energy to like stop a Kroos Modric sequence because Kroos and Modric would take it all the way. They would hold on to the ball. They'd make you run all the way up to them and tackle them. Some of these guys now, when you do that, you get it back though. Like with those guys, you didn't get it back. You tackle them, it would go out of play, and it's like, okay, like let's try and do something again. But it wasn't as easy as like snatching their pocket and going for it. So I think what the game, because like all sports have evolved this way in general. Like ball pressure is something that's emphasized across sports now because everyone realizes you need athletes on the pitch everywhere. And it's just so much easier to play offense if nobody's coming on you. Like even if you're playing a block, the floor of ball pressure has gone up a lot. And not only that, Arda is just not devastating at beating ball pressure. Like he's really good at breaking lines. But, I will say I'm a little disappointed in that regard, in that he's just such a skilled player. And honestly, I get that what I'm asking of him is superhuman. But like I don't have eyes at the back of my head. I'm asking him to have them. But if he did, it would be nice, because fundamentally what happened against Liverpool and some of these smaller La Liga teams, it's more obvious. Like they can just outcompete us with heart and a little bit of wit because A, we don't play with enough wit offensively and we're kind of reliant on Arda, or B, our ball pressure has gaps on the other end. So I just think executing one end of the ball 100% is important, Jarod. And that's why he was doing that side-to-side possession stuff. He's just like, get me one side of the ball. We'll figure the other one out later. Then Olympiacos came. The players had a talk. I don't know exactly what the talk was. I think Vinny was, man, like, I want that Ballon d'Or, man.
I'm trying to get paid, bro. No, I think that there's merit to that, right? And again, this is not saying that Arda can never be an impactful player for Real Madrid or even an elite player for Real Madrid. But It's what we talked about, Sid. Yes, that particular area of Arda's is an issue, right? There's no denying it. Everybody can see it. But there are also other issues, which is Vinny and Mbappe still terrible angles when it comes to pressing, right? Like they are still shit at that, right? And the top gets bypassed way too easily, right? Which then forces a mismatch situation the minute the opponent has the ball coming our way, right? And so that has to get better, right? Again, not elite, but just better. Have your angles be better. That's all. I'm not saying be the fucking best person in the world. Just know the right angle so the pass is now slightly more difficult, which we saw in the Bilbao game, right? Especially from Vinny. I was like, ooh, you're cutting the right angle, forcing the goalie to kick the ball out of bounds. Guess what? That's a lost possession. That's a win for us. Versus the goalie is able to make a pass to his defensive midfielder or central midfielder, and now shit, because you're not running to chase him. Great. Now we got fast break going the other way, right? Or we have a number situation going back. Little things like that. When we're talking about this team being elite, we have to move away from moments of individual brilliance, and everyone has to do their part. So the collective is better. That's why I think Xabi was so insistent on the defense and the pressing, right? Which is why he started Messantuano and guys who he knew would bust their ass, because that's how we collectively get the ball back. If everyone does their part, that's how we win, right? Like that's how we control and dominate. Like, and I think all of that's, again, all the pieces matter.
And I mean, Zidane did all that with Lucas Vasquez and Casemiro. He wasn't called controlling. I get that Zidane had more aura as a player than Alonso, but Alonso has more aura as a player than Ancelotti. So I think there's or maybe similar to Ancelotti. I might be overrating Alonso, underrating Ancelotti as a player there, but he's in that class and he knows what he's doing. So I trust him, but it was a concerning couple of weeks. I do agree that he needed to get this Bilbao game, and Girona was a disaster. Ideally get that one so he had a cushion for the next couple of games. But listen, there's a long way to go, and there's going to be growing pains. But I will say I think we've crossed some of the more painful pains because we know the limits. And if we suck now because Trent's gone and Arda can't do it, well, you saw it coming in November. Like there aren't that many tools.
I mean, look, we're going to have an issue now on that right-hand side, right? Because there is no Trent replacement. No one can cross the ball and pass the way Trent can on this team from that position, right? We just don't. Like, as good as Arda is passing, Arda cannot. That long ball, not as good, right? Through ball, all that, elite, but he cannot do that. Asensio can play a long ball. Valverde can, like Militao can, but they're not as good as Trent at it, right? So we're going to try. They're going to try it, but it's not going to be as good. That's just the reality.
Yeah, and with Trent, I just mainly look at his health. And if we're going to depend on a fullback like that, like we are a piece away. Like ultimately, your only passers can't be a right back who's getting hurt sometimes, and like a midfielder who's a tweener. If you could have like just double the number of playmakers, like if there was an Isco somewhere, like Isco would have helped this team, a prime Isco, a lot, Jarod. I don't think people realize, like the turning, he would have helped us resist the press. Isco used to sub in for Kroos and Modric even when he was kind of washed and help us win games. So like there's a whole thing. But yeah, I mean, with that being said, I'm not going to panic if we don't do great. I'm going to trust the process.
because I still think that, and assuming Camavinga is not too badly dinged up from his ankle from Wednesday, I do think those four guys on the pitch do present something. That double pivot of Tchouaméni and Camavinga is great because Camavinga, of course, he has all the defensive instincts like Tchouaméni, but he's still prone to making mistakes. By the way, Camavinga just turned 23, so he also is young. And this is a point, Sid, I think fans need to understand. Camavinga, Tchouaméni, Les Valverde, even Bellingham, these players, because of their versatility and because of injuries, were forced to play all over the pitch, right? Very much in the early part of their careers. And when you're now looking for them to do what Xabi wants, which is have this sort of like positional, I don't even want to say structure, but positional discipline, they don't have it because that's not what they do, right? Because Camavinga's been playing left back and Tchouaméni's been playing center back, and right. And so the finer nuances and points of DM and central midfielder and an 8 or whatever are a little bit lost because they don't have 10,000 minutes of that experience because they've been doing 9 million other things. And so I think it's all right to also be like, guys, Jude and Camavinga and Tchouaméni, these guys can get better. Like they can. Like, and I think when they get better and reach their ceiling, that will unlock other things. The problem is, again, at Real Madrid, you have to win everything right now. And if they don't, sell this guy, fire this one, do that one, whatever. And it's like, well, then literally, if that's the mindset that fans have, then every year you sign everybody to 1-year contracts and you literally go out and get like fully formed 28-year-old at their peak at every position. And next year you do the same thing all over again.
Well, I would also say it's all good if one of these guys doesn't pan out because we signed them so young, they have resale value, frankly. Like, but the point is they're not all failures because the team isn't balanced right now. Like,
correct.
That's the main thing. Like, listen, there's out of all the guys we love, one of those guys is probably getting sold because Rodrigo doesn't have that value no more. One of the guys we love is getting sold. I loved Di Maria when he was sold. I loved Ozil when he was sold. They were good players. We, if we need to make a tweak, we will. But I do think generally the tweak will be towards like just guys who can keep the ball. Like I'm realizing the way ball pressure has gone up, like you can't just be good at passing. You kind of need to be at least a little bit of dribbling. Like Cruz and Modric were both key in different ways.
That's why I think Camavinga could be so good because he's an excellent dribbler, and I do think he's a very good passer as well. Will he misplace pass from time to time? 1,000%. But I think that you can develop that out of his game. But to your point, the question is, does the club determine that can happen within a short time span, or is it better to sell him now and make whatever the money they're going to make off him? That's the question. I don't know the answer to that.
And normally the answer is that they have a number, and like that everyone has a number that makes sense. And like there are some players who some years are so valuable to the team, there's no number that makes sense. I don't think Camavinga will fetch the offer that would justify selling him like over, I think 100 million. I don't think they would do it for 60, 70 because like, unless they think he's going to get hurt all the time. That's probably the only reason. But listen, if we do sell him, I wouldn't want to be on the other side of the transaction, usually with us.
Yeah. Sell him somewhere we never have to play him ever, right? Like ever.
No, I just mean if we do sell him, I would worry for what that means if you're buying him. Like, what does that say about him? Like, because this guy's good. I don't think we want to sell him.
I agree.
But our best double pivot is no question Tchouaméni, Camavinga. And I think all those guys in some ways have hit their ceiling as press resistant outside Camavinga because he hasn't played in that pivot role that he can dominate it. And when he does, he is good. I wonder if his passing is almost like a little ADHD, like the Gen Z ADHD that we all have.
Probably.
Because man, that's what I'm like, bro, you know how to do it. What are you doing? Like, is your brain just shutting down sometimes? Like mine does randomly. Like all these kids now who are on TikTok, there's a little too much TikTok.
Yeah, he doesn't have enough minutes in that spot, right? So his brain's like, oh fuck it, let's go do something else. It's like
he's scrolling TikTok instead of passing. Yeah, that's what it is.
Like, bro, let's just take a beat because he is. I think he can be one of our more press resistant players for sure.
Maybe we just need to cut him off social media and we'll get the best. Maybe we'll get like Modric, Camavinga then. I'm just kidding. But
Modric, Camavinga.
I joke, but I'm saying like, I play FIFA now sometimes and it's actually more exhausting than 2K, Jarod, because like the ball pressure all over the pitch, it's exhausting, man. Like, you get to bring it up in basketball. In soccer, like,
well, except when you play against the Thunder, you don't.
Yes, you don't. But yeah, exactly. So in general, it's a very tiring game. And this whole thing of like waiting for a player to budge like half a yard so you tricked him to pass the other way. I can get why that feels tedious, man. Like it has to be second nature to you. And if it doesn't come naturally to you, I would understand just being like, screw this, man. I'm just dribbling. Like,
and that's the thing though, Sid, right? It becomes natural when you have the requisite number of minutes under your belt. He don't got it. Most of them don't got it. That's why it's not natural. Like, but again, I go back to the problem at Real Madrid is as a club, they don't have the patience for that, right? You either got it or you don't. Fucking get rid of this guy. We'll get someone who has it already, right? Because we have to win now.
In Camavinga's case, if he stays healthy, I think he has the spot. He's made some pretty significant improvements, I'd say, in build up the last month.
Without question.
Yeah, especially in the double pivot role. At the right wing, he's whatever, but in the double pivot, he's good.
In certain situations, he can work on the right wing in select situations.
Yep. Yeah. But yeah, that's so we have a formula, but we lost the wizard that made the formula work. So it's going to be a long 2 months. Listen, the best case scenario from something like this is we find something else to go to. Which is always amazing, which is what happened in 23-24. We lost Tchouaméni and Camavinga after the Clásico. we went to the Fede Cruz double pivot, which man, Cruz really did all that heavy lifting. No matter who played next to him, it was crazy. But again, it was second nature to him, and yeah, it will be interesting. I think. But one thing I will say is, I don't need I think Camavinga is turning into like a loose Modric archetype, but I don't expect anyone to be Cruz, even Tchouaméni, because I just think like Tchouaméni said, like ultimately when you're signed to be an archetype on the pitch, and like what I mean by that is you're asked to fulfill an effect on the pitch and have an effect in a certain aspect of the game. That doesn't have to be every single aspect of the game for you to be a championship level player.
Right.
We've already won a Champions League with this guy. Like Casemiro could not pass sometimes. We won with him. I feel like people are just too much in a rush to say that our players have to be all-rounders. No, like just you could still keep Camavinga in this like bit part build-up role and still bring in someone who's more of a metronome. And they'll all be like, everyone will only get better when you bring in that metronome. I think the idea that you bring in someone and you lose someone is also a bit of a fallacy. Like you can bring in Nico Paz, you can bring in a deep-lying midfielder, you can just get rid of Ceballos and run it back. Like that's how we do things here. And I think, if anything, I think we're lacking in competition for technical players. Like the technical players are not physical enough. We need someone who's a little bit of both, who's maybe more on the technical side. Like I said, like a prime Isco and James walk into this team, man. Like they walk in, like some of those guys from the 2010s. So, I mean, Nico Paz might walk in too for that same reason. And
well, Nico presents another problem, right? Because where is he best? He's best as a 10, then that's okay. Then if you play with four midfielders, then it's Camavinga, Tchouaméni double pivot. Then I think you have Jude at the top of that, right, as your 8, and then Paz as your 10, right? That because again, everyone's like, Jude's another one, right? There's also, as you know, Sid, a theory in psychology called the anchoring effect, right? Which is your first experience with something is how you always remember it in your head. Most Real Madrid fans did not watch Jude Bellingham at Dortmund, so that didn't count. He became a player once he signed up here. What was his first season when he signed up here? He was basically a false 9, a forward that scored a ton of goals. So that's all a lot of Madrid fans and most of the outside media see him as. So when he's not scoring goals, he sucks, right? That's the narrative where it's like, no, actually, but this guy came up as an 8, actually, right? Like building up from deep, like helping him build up play. And by the way, we saw it in the Athletic Club game. He was playing deep, right? And he can do it, right? The question you have to again ask yourself is, for the good of the team and what the team's goals are, where and with the profiles we have, where is he best deployed? That's the question.
Yeah. Listen, Jarod, I know we told ourselves we'll go 30 to 40 minutes.
We're already at like freaking 53.
Yeah. I knew it would feel too half-baked if we stopped without at least going around some of these things. But to be honest, it still is half-baked because we're still rebranding. We have so much good stuff we want to present. Like all these were just words. We need charts, we need data, we need rankings, we need metrics, we need a website. All the good stuff is coming. Also, Arda Guler, if you want to work with someone on getting juiced a little faster, if any of you know Arda Guler, if you want to see Arda Guler play, if you're from Turkey, you know his entourage, I will turn Arda Guler into a beast. Just give me a phone call or whatever. Leave a comment. I'll find you. But I just want to put it out there. That's what I do, Arda. Man, I couldn't sleep a lot of my life. I learned to eat meat myself. Arda, let's get some muscle on.
I learned to eat meat.
I was raised vegetarian, Arda. I had to change everything. And if that's what you need to succeed, for someone like him, that's where it's just funny. Like if he could find like a magician who could just level up his body, that's the whole bottleneck for him, the 95.5. Because if you gave him like a Hansi Flick steroid regime, how good would he look? Like, and hey, Arda, we'll find you that too, bro. We'll find it all for you.
Steroid regime, I can't. Stop. Let's end this stream now.
And Arda, I'll make my call to those contacts too, Arda. That's part of the package if you're hitting me up. But yeah, man. Well, Jarod, thank you for coming. We got a lot to do, but anything you want to announce to the viewers before we wrap this
up? You follow me on Twitter, whatever that site's called, at JS Hector. You'll see me out there. I'm going to be putting a lot of stuff out there. My thoughts, my big picture thoughts. You guys all know everything's connected with me, right? Shout out Lester Freeman, The Wire, all the pieces matter. I'm going to be talking about all the different disparate parts that seemingly should all want the same thing, but don't. And that causes problems. But look, I think this club is still in very good shape. We have elite talent all over the place. We gotta get the alchemy right, Sid. And that's the hardest part, right? It's real. That's why they pay Xabi the big bucks. It's the hardest part to get that alchemy just right. It's difficult. It's difficult.
Yeah, it is. Our next episode we'll put out. Somebody were asking when Lecante's back. We're just going to talk a little bit about what we want to do with the show on our next episode. So stay tuned. Thank you all for coming. And what we play next on Sunday?
Sunday, yes, against Celta. I want to say. Is that right?
Yeah, I believe so. And then we then go to Man City.
No, we're home for Man City. Home for Man City.
Oh, right. So we will be doing a Man City show 30 minutes after the final whistle. So definitely be ready for that.
Yep.
We're still figuring the other stuff out, but content is resuming, even pre-rebrand. So if you were one of those people who requested it, please like, subscribe, and tell your friends.
Yes.
The real deal is back. Also, yeah, we're trying to keep things professional grade, which we'll talk about. But I know the sort of sickness and anxiety you get when you read about Real Madrid online. We get it too, and we're building a healthy space for Real Madrid fans.
Yeah, yes, sir. Yes, sir. That's what we want. All right, guys. Like, subscribe, share.